Hello. So we're back to lower body, and again, in summertime, I just pretty much lower bodies. I do. It might be good to do somewhat of a weights day once in a while, but I don't. It's the competitive thing, and what I call your summer season, your fire season. That's the competitive season, and then here in Canada, we only have so much sun every year, and spraying and everything. So when there's a nice day, I just gotta take advantage of it outside. So the last day I did, moved up the distances to 40, 70, 100. So I'm gonna do 110 yards. So the CFL football fields, if you're in America, your fields are only 100 yards, but our CFL fields are 110 yards. And 110 yards is actually 100 meters. And mind you, again, you won't be fast because in the last video we talked about bouncing the lacrosse ball on the turf versus on the hard rubberized track. But anyways, I'm up to doing 110 here, so I'll alternate. I won't do three distances, I'll just alternate two. The 50, although I could do 50 or 55 yards, but I'm just going to do 50 and 110. And there's a couple of reasons. The main reason is it gives you a break from just constantly doing 110s. Other things you can do in between, if you have sprint drills, if you want to work I probably should work on A's and B's and the prime times, the hamstring runs and different things like that, but I only have so much time, and there's only who knows how many more of these workouts I'm going to be able to do, and just being where I am to take advantage of this field I have here in Burlington. So I'm going to sprint. But I do the two distances, and the other thing, the second shorter distances, so not only is it a break from the harder, like the full-on 110s, it also lets you see your times on the shorter one, so that okay, am I still keeping up pretty quick on that short one? And whether your long ones go up or down if you're fatiguing, but if you're still keeping the short ones crisp, then you have still a pretty good amount of power, and it's just your speed endurance or your power endurance that's fading if your 110 times are going down. But if you're the shorter distance, in my case the 50s, if they're staying around the same, then so actually what I need to work on is power endurance and doing more 110s, so that alternating distance lets me do that. Now, because the last day I did was what I call a long day, right, because it went up to the 100 yards, I should do a short day or my secondary day, so sometimes a sprint interval drill. There's different types of suicides, and there's all kinds of different ways you can do it. Or another way to do short, so now that I've built up and I'm accustomed to sprinting on the turf here, again, it is harder on the track, but I might go to track now in my spikes at shorter distances, 30s and 50s, or just a plyometric workout, just doing jumps and bounds and drills on the track, and maybe I'll do a couple of track sprints or track workouts this season. But I didn't feel like doing it, but it was so nice, and I feel all right, even though yesterday was a tough upper body day. We had Saturday off, and then so from Friday, so it's Monday, so a couple of days, not a ton of days, but after today I will go to alternating my long day or my main day. I'll alternate that with the second day, and then depending on how I feel, sometimes a third day with an interval day. So I'll have this long day, a shorter day that I'll start to do on the track with either short sprint distances or short plyometric type things. And that just gives you a break back and forth. But then you're also going to see the interplay, like getting used to doing some sprints, even if shorter, and even if just bounding or plyometrics on the track. It's a different stimulus, and it's a break for your just your whole lower body complex. But for my ankles and my calves, it'll be a different stimulus, so that when you come back to the track, when you come back to the turf, then you might find you're better on the turf, and going back and forth between a couple of different things is better than just always hammering the same thing. But I wanted to get to, I guess in my day, if I was more focused on the track, I would try to get to the track as soon as I could. But now I'm more focused on the field, So what was the tiebreaker for me? Go to field day today, and then I'll start alternating it again, a long day and a short day. And depending on what happens, like if there's a lot of rain days, I just use the 2. But if we end up getting sun for a few days in a row, which doesn't really happen so much now, then I would use that 3rd day every once in a while for me being an interval type drill. Or if I'm just fatigued and I'm, doing that interval drill, again, I don't hit max speeds, but it's still a pretty tough conditioning day, and then you can still practice your form, and you have to decelerate and turn and pivot. I don't super focus on those mechanics and technique, but it's still something to do. Anyway, so that's a little intro and overview to days. Another thing I wanted to do was I might as well show 3-point stance. So with a 2-point stance, right, if you pick, so the line, so just say the edge of the line would actually be the start. So if you put your front foot on that, this foot's going to go back basically just behind your heel and then out under that hip. But then what you want to do, you don't want this shin parallel, you want your knee forward because you're going to go off in that direction. So a 2-point stance. With a 3-point, I can get even lower, and then a 4-point would be in sprinting. You have the back blocks and both your hands in the line. So you kind of have to practice the technique because that starts getting more involved. But just to see, there's the 2-point. I'm just going to talk about a 4-point very briefly. You can kind of have both your shin angles at 45 degrees because when you pop out, you want to be at 45 degrees. So if I was in 2 blocks, right, if I was in 2 blocks, I can have both my shins at 45. So there's your trailing leg, and then I guess this would be your lead leg. Your lead leg is going to do, say, 90%, because both have to push. But your lead leg is going to do like 90% of that push. So if you got to come out 45 degrees, start pushing into the ground at 45 degrees so you come out where you want to be. So you can see with the 2-point, I mean, you can't get anywhere near 45 degrees. And if the 4-point is 45, the 3-point, it's going to be somewhere in between. You can try to get down to your lead shin or your push-off shin being 45 degrees, but it's just with a 3-point, it doesn't exactly work. You get closer, so that's why a 3-point, you can be faster than a 2-point for a full-out sprint. Like in athletics, again, the football guys, when you're coming off the line, you're going to be in a 2-point stance. But anything you're going to do in sports, but you have to be able to decelerate and change directions, because stop and turn more quickly. So that's why you're not quite in a full. They don't use 100-meter sprint mechanics, but the principles still can apply. And then in certain situations, right, like if you're on a breakaway or some kind of something, then you can use a bit of that. But of course, if you're carrying a ball or dribbling a ball with soccer, you're still not going 100% sprint speed. But anyways, I'm being specific to a sprint. So 3-point stance. Zoom it in a little bit. Now you don't have to have a field, but because I have the football lines here, it just will show easy what I'm talking about. So this front edge, that's the starting line. So you'll put both feet on that starting line. And then just as a template, right, this is just as a starting point. So theoretically, what should your lead leg be? I'm right-handed, I'm right-footed if I had to kick a ball. But actually when I play some sports, if I have to hit with a racket or something, I'm right-handed, like how I write. But if I am doing baseball, hockey, golf, anything where I'm swinging, I'm actually left-handed. And I lead with my left foot. Really, but my left and right in the gym are actually a about the same. And sometimes certain exercises, I'm finding my left is better, but it could be because I've trained it that way, doing my left leg as my lead leg. But actually, a lot of people will have their right as their lead. So what I'm going to show you, though, I'm going to obviously show you how my legs are set up, but then you would just have to reverse it for yourself. Anyway, so I go on the line. So this is going to be my trailing leg. I have my knee just as a starting point. So where my heel is, so my foot's about the width of this line. So it gives you an extra visual. But if I didn't have, I have my knee just a little behind that heel. When I put into the ground here, like some people go very gingerly, but then you're not solid in. So you'll see when I just naturally, like I'm digging in so that the ball of my foot is already ready to drive out there. Then this foot, I come back to about at where my knee is, but then even back a little more. Because see, I can come up here and you'll see my shin angle, but if I just come even back a little bit from that, right, I can even get that lower shin angle. And then you have the opposite hand, and this is the hand I have because I got to self-time myself. You could do it in your other hand, or if I switch the other way, but I just have start stop. So for me to be on this and hit go with my thumb as I pop out and go, it's not that much of an issue. So again, on your mark, I line up to the front edge, get set. Right, I've got my knee, so since I've got this line I can see it, but I don't, again, I could actually just go anywhere. And I know. Another thing I like to do is, being on a 3-point stance, I like to, if I'm set up here, I go out and back, and I go back and out a little bit, same thing. So just to have a little wider base when I'm coming out, because when you start your sprint, you're actually pushing off wider off of this inside edge before you come up, and then you're narrow when you're in your full speed going down the track or going down the field or whatever line you've got picked. When I'm at the front edge, back and out a little bit. This guy, I come back and then go back just a bit more as I'm again digging in the ball of the foot to the ground. And I come up. And for me, I like to I rock a bit, but then I use this arm. I'm almost pushing myself back. So all of my weight, everything, I feel very like a jack-in-the-box or a spring, like a loaded coil pushed down under a box. Because you'll see a lot of people, if they're here and I say go, they have to rock back. They go back and then forward. You're losing a lot of time off the line. You just want to be set up to go forward. Right, so I push myself away. I feel very coiled. That wasn't a perfect demonstration because I'm just kind of fooling around, setting up, showing some things. But maybe I'll do a few of my sprints just from the side. So I won't do it how the line, because there's no point. But maybe just to give an example of a 3-point stance. And I'm no sprint specialist or anything. So if you're just a regular average individual, I mean, this will hopefully be of nice benefit to you. Let's find a good spot. That should be pretty good. Obviously, I already did all my warm-ups. Oh my, that was 6.4. That's very slow for me for 50 yards. Should be just under 6, to be honest. But that's fine. I gotta get focused. And when I came out, I wasn't into full sprinting, and my first couple of steps were great, but then like 3, 4, 5 or 4, 5, 6 were not. But that's okay. It's all practicing. It's just number one. The next distance I'm going to do is 110 yards. I'm going to go the full field, but I'll just keep showing my little 3-point setups. You also see with a 3-point stance, you at least want your torso parallel to the ground, and if you can get a little lower, then so be it. You'll see sprinters coming out of the blocks, so the 4-point stance, for sure their hips are higher than their shoulders, and then even if you hang your head, you can get a stretch reflex when you pop up. So the 3-point stance, again, you're trying to get as close to that 4-point stance as you can, but you're not going to be exactly like it because it's 3-point stance. But again, if you know the 2 and the 4 and in between and then where you want to go. That helps understand the 3-point setup. But if you just start with that little skeleton or that little template I mentioned, and you'll see how I slide and then go back into it. You just got to think about that lead leg more, and then shifting your weight all back so you just go forward. Just right. If I have to boil it down to just a couple of things, that's it. All right, that was 12.97, which, I mean, it's my first 110 yards of the year. At least I was under 13. But my best times, like lifetime, I've had a couple of times under 12. So I'm like a second away from that, but not too far off. I think last year, some of my best times were low 12s, maybe around 12.2. But again, it's not even August yet. What is today? July 26th? It's my first ones of these. I still have more to do, so I'll be faster in another month. And even on that run, I wasn't putting the power I could into the ground. I still have some technique points and things to do, but that'll come. Anyways, my next one, I'll still show a couple from the side. I'm going to be back to 50 yards. Let's get a little more of those first few steps. was much better. That was 50 yards in 6 flat. Yeah, it's, for me, I want to get that under 6. But it's getting better, and that was a much better start. But then you'll also see when you have a better start, so your 5, 10, 20, that's going to be faster. But you build up a better speed that you can take with you down the track or down the field. So it's twofold. There's the speed of that, and then the speed you've created, and you just keep building on, right? So really, like even when I run a 50, I tell people I'm not running 30, 40, or 50. I'm running the first 50 of 110, or the first 30 of 110 yards, or the first whatever of it's a. You're just running the first of a full bit, so don't worry about the end. That'll come quick. You just got to focus on that first step, second couple of steps, then what comes next, and then each phase just starts transitioning. But it becomes a habit, and you know what comes next when you come out properly. So all you have to do is really just worry about the start, and then it happens. funny. That was mostly good. I mean, not my start, but the early transition phase, it could have been better, and a couple of things. But it was only 12:78. I remember when that was like slow times, I was going, ah. But the funny thing is, actually, it felt all right today, but it's just 12:78. That's okay. I'm still fairly decent at the short distances, but I'm gonna keep trying. Still not bad. 6:03, and I slipped a little bit on the start there. So I could have been just under 6. But either way, that was about still with my other one of 6 flat. So that's what I mean. Doing the short and long, just from the short ones, I still know I'm actually pretty good. it was 1285. So I could feel it was between the first two. Funny enough, my third 50 yards was between the first and the second, and my third 110 was between. So I was saying it's going to do at least 3 rounds, 6 total, 3 of each of those two. But my times are still all right. I mean, if you were dead, there's no point beating a dead horse. There's no point overkilling yourself and no point training yourself to be slow. It doesn't mean you have to necessarily stop. It might, but you could always do a different type of drills or something at the end. And I'm still going to do what I call my finisher, where I run 110 there and back. But I will do another round of 50 yards and 110 yards. My times are still good enough. Another factor is tomorrow it looks like rain, so it'll be an off day. And then the next day will probably be an upper body day. And then come back, and again I'm going to do a short day, short and/or drills day, and then I have an interval day if I have to throw in. So I can leave more out today also because of that, right? It's different if I had to do 3 days in a row. Today was day 1 of taking advantage of 3 days for some reason, but it's not, and the numbers are still pretty good. So actually I'll set up a little different angle here. And just like that, I went from not really feeling it to really feeling it in one set. That was 6.25. So that's slowing down, but whatever. I'm still gonna do another 110 because I need the practice. But I'm still okay enough. And then my finisher of 110. That's gonna be tough. 110 there and back, I mean. Like I say, if I have some days off, do upper body day, I have a secondary lower body day, I'd rather do more right now. Plus take advantage when it's really nice out. Oh. See, sometimes when I walk into the line and if I'm just thinking or if I move a little bit, I'm visualizing. There's a way to visualize, but you make it big and bright and you see yourself on the perfect set and fast. But that can help. That's funny. To the 100th of a second, 12.97, which was my first round. But not that one. That one's just kind of fatigued. But I'm not, well, even on that one, I'm not using my foot and ankle as best as I can. And some pop from my calves. So actually doing some work on the track, some plyometrics, or even just sprints on my spikes on the track, that should actually help that. I say normally in past years I'd be on the track, and by now it's alright. I like the field actually, and I like running, and I like my toe shoes. But barefoot, right, the track, it's a rubberized surface and it's hard concrete underneath. Our foot's not meant for that. So if you're barefoot or in toe shoes, you want to be, now this is a artificial turf, but it simulates the real thing, right? In these shoes, great for turf in the gym, turf here, grass, like actual grass on a field. It's beautiful for natural climates, trail. That'll still be tough. You know, if you get toe shoes and you're not used to wearing it, or if you don't have the greatest calves, either way, it's still going to train your foot muscles and your calf complex. But anyways, but these shoes, they're not meant for the track. But no, I'll get back onto the track. Like I say, I'll start coming out now, and then that should help this. 35 and a quarter. It's like I say, these are just a finisher. Get a pump in the glutes, like finishing with a high rep set. I don't really care about these. I still like it to be between 30 and 35, and it's over 35, so I'm not really impressed with that. But I was just dead tired. But still, if I make my form a bit better, that's the whole point, is running through it in good form when you're tired. Won't be your fastest, but keep the legs up, push. And again, doing a 4 all out, 110 yards. You can see took its toll. Not excuses, just reasons. Now I have something to look at, improve upon, look forward to. But it's all good. All right. Till next time. Thanks, everyone.